Right, we are here on Bendigo Pacing Cup night and Aldebaran Park Murray Mile night and Bendigo Trotters Cup as well. Mr. Matt Isaacs joins me, unfortunately not from Bendigo, here at Melton, but firstly, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks, Paul. Hi, everybody at home. Yeah, challenging kind of time at the moment here in Victoria. My heart goes out to everybody affected, our participants, and there's been loss of life throughout the state of Victoria. I don't know how many dwellings have been impacted, but I think it does put in perspective, nights like this, with what's happening, more broadly speaking, across the community.
Yeah, and we're going to touch on why the meeting was transferred, but just talking to Ross Graham there before, and I think he and Clive Henderson, I think it was about a kilometre from their place where they were actually able to stop that, but you sort of think of that, and then Ross said unfortunately there's at least been one person pass away, and those sorts of things really hit home about the scariness of these fires and what they can actually do. Yeah, that's right. And I know that everybody have their fire plans in place, but there's one thing to have your fire plan in place, but when you've got livestock and in our case equine bloodstock and horses on properties, it's really hard to react quickly. We're trying to support in every way we can. I stand here not knowing the full extent of things that have happened over the last 48 hours, but we'll start to get a bit of a view of that soon. And we'll put the appropriate recovery plans in place for the impacted people. And I probably expect by Monday, Tuesday, it'll start to crystallise a little bit more for us, and we'll do what we can around feed, rehoming, veterinary services, whatever we can to support any way we can. So, pleasingly, between the Victorian government, the Officer Racing Integrity Commissioner, there's a lot of support. We're working collaboratively with Racing Victoria as well. So myself and Aaron Morrison, the CEO of RV, are in contact. So, I was really impressed also yesterday just on SEN and RSN, the role they playing a community service for our industry. And a special shout out to Miles Fitchener, who led that. He did a wonderful job yesterday, I thought. So we've had to transfer the meeting. Why did we have to transfer the meeting?
Yeah, so you don't typically want to wake up early on a Saturday morning and have to deal with these types of things, because we had no intention to obviously transfer the meeting, but the Victorian government put a state of emergency in place. Victoria's a disaster zone, but there's specific powers that are aligned to local government areas. And let's just talk Bendigo, and being a Bendigo person that grew up in Bendigo, the greater city of Bendigo encompasses Harcourt and Sutton Grange and areas like that have been impacted. So whilst they're on the fringe, it's still part of the greater city of Bendigo. So there's a number of areas that have been declared disaster zones, and that allows authorities very significant powers. So those powers are to deny access for vehicles. It's to ask people to move on or out so they can evacuate people. And for us, it also forbids any event. And so we had no other choice to run at Bendigo tonight. So we quickly moved to what we could do and whether or not we could scale up here at Melton. And I'm really proud of the work that the team have done to get this right. We weren't planning for this to happen, and we've been able to spin it up. It's certainly a huge impact to the club of Bendigo. They did an amazing job preparing for this. We had amazing fields, and we're all very excited about tonight, and being leg one of our 6-week summer of glory. There's a lot riding on it. So, one, we're fortunate that we can get the race meeting away, albeit not in Bendigo. Kirsten Graham, the committee, well represented here tonight with their sponsors, have made the effort. We're supporting them, but we will work back with the Bendigo club to make sure they're not financially impacted. It's out of their control, as it is all of our control, and I appreciate there's a lot of emotion and decisions for us have to get made, not always with fact, and the things are coming in for us bit by bit, and it is very challenging. So
it's probably one thing I want to get out. You guys put out a memo as early as you could, I think roughly 11 o'clock, because there was a text message went out there then in and around that same sort of time, and it said that you had to move the meeting. There was probably the fact that Bendigo at that stage hadn't been declared a disaster zone. which is not your fault. But if you had left it till it was declared a disaster zone, then started notifying people that, because you knew that it was coming, it was just a matter of them formally announcing it. So when you put out your release, you guys can't actually say the 100% of the reason.
Yeah, well, and to be fair for everybody watching at home, we're learning as we go through that as well. And this is something I didn't realise even the government had these types of specific powers to localise. Around 7:30 this morning, I actually just caught the news just to see what was happening, and the Premier Jacinta Allen, who's a Bendigo resident, as we all know, or here in Victoria anyway, she was very clear around what was happening. And then from that moment, we went into, okay, well, what are our options? And we were then looking for the official advice. We wanted to move quickly to give everybody the opportunity to be able to make plans, make plans to be able to reroute travel. We have, Kingman, for instance, in Shepparton, arriving into Shepparton, I think, with Luke McCarthy, had to reroute. I know yourself were even impacted, Paul. So, there's a lot of considerations there. But the only consideration was that we were never racing at Bendigo because we were fundamentally not allowed to. So it was challenging. We since then got access to the official press release, and we got that out. And I think I'd really encourage people. I know there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of comments that get made, but every decision that we make over the last 24 hours, last night, because it was impacted here with significant smoke with a fire event very close by, the air quality was very poor, which can be damaging to the horses. And then Wednesday night also at Mildura, every decision that we make is in the interest of the welfare of our horses and our participants, and I'm going to make no apologies for that. We are right. I know it's emotional and it's difficult, and people have opinions, but it's factually driven.
That's okay. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
We're very casual. It's not live.
It's fine. I might not cut that because people would want to watch the races. Was there consideration to transfer the meeting?
That was one thing we discussed. So when we all come together as a team this morning reviewing different options, we looked at that. The difficulty is that it's designed in a way to build up towards the AJ Hunter Cup. There's clearly $1 million bonus. There's a $500,000 bonus associated with the trots. So there is some complexity there. But when for instance, if we were to have it the week after the AJ Hunter Cup, it changes that whole schedule. Horses are primed to perform tonight. And you're getting very close to the New South Wales Carnival with the Miracle Mile. And the opportunities aren't quite as... the calendar's very tight. So the answer is no, this is the right decision to get the racing away. But there's a huge impact on Bendigo, the Bendigo community, and as somebody that grew up in Bendigo, it is heartbreaking because I know how much work the club's put in, and communication. Club will handle all the communication to people that have been involved in, whether they had events there and bought tables, they'll handle all of that. But we'll ensure that we financially work with Bendigo to protect them, so that there is a club that they're not wearing the brunt of this decision because it's out of their control, just like it is out of our control. But what we do control is how we as an industry behave, how we represent ourselves. And I really want to encourage people when they're commenting, just to think about the comments of how that would look around welfare for our horses and our participants from people outside of our industry.
Exactly. Sending people in there. Now, as a person that drove from Bendigo home to here, I went through Melton, Castlemaine, Elphinstone, out through Malmesbury. It's a tricky road. I don't actually know which way I'm going to go home, but that's okay. I can worry about that. But I know the roads. But your mother actually went home that way today as well. And it fires challenges for people to be able to navigate as well. So when you're worrying about fires and trying to negotiate how to get horses in and out of an event, it can be tricky.
Yeah, you're right. And I think there's one thing to be in a car without towing a float and without obviously horses in the back. It's challenging. Night time's hard. Anybody that's lived in regional Australia, fire's a part of our lives. We get it, but they move so fast. They're so unpredictable. And we've got to respect that there's people out there trying to defend property. There's things more important than harness racing that's happening.
Exactly.
There's lives being lost. Well, life we know of lost in the Harcourt region. I don't know how many dwellings have been impacted. And as I said earlier, even from a livestock perspective and an equine perspective, we haven't been able to assess the damage just yet. So We put a lot of precautions in place at the start of the week. We have our trainers are very, very good at having their fire plans and welfare plans in place. We've moved horses around to certain training facilities, for instance, and Shepparton's played a key role in that. But it's never perfect, and things change. It's 47 degrees yesterday, and I'm shivering today. But that is Melbourne. That's what happens. But the key thing is the wind, and I know it's still pretty blustery out there. And
I believe it's blustery still in Bendigo. The girls are at home, and they've been telling me that it's still a bit wild and windy, so it's not great either.
Yeah, that's right. So, importantly, the air quality is really good here tonight, so that was a consideration for us as well. We're fortunate in that respect, so we're testing that on a regular basis, and that's very good. For those that don't know, we had a grass fire only 1,500 metres away last night that was quickly put under control, but it actually turned the air quality into such a poor condition that we actually couldn't race. And it's not the rules that we set. There's actually EPA-orientated rules around that, and it can be I'm advised that it can be quite damaging to the horses.
People and the people.
Yeah, and it also fills up the smoke fills up also in the stabling facilities. So, they're trying circumstances, and I think we've all got to kind of band together and just work through these types of situations, because we want these events to go ahead, but certainly not at the cost of human life, and not at the cost of the stars of the show, the horses.
Totally agree, mate. Thank you very much for joining me. Anyone want to know how how people are affected by it? Go and watch Sean McNulty's interview. He had a mate in the fires over Longwood who is alive, and all the rest. That's Kingman out the back. Anyone can hear him. He's here. He's on track. Go and watch that interview, the last bit of it. I mean, Sean's a pretty proud man, and he teared up just the loss of property for these guys. So I think people need to be really considerate when they're putting posts and things like that to things. It's very important.
I want to encourage people to have constructive criticism, and I know things are hard. Things are challenging, but we certainly don't. I certainly. As a former Bendigo resident, I would be nothing more prouder than seeing Bendigo continue to evolve. We've got over a $2 million lighting upgrade going in there in April. We're working on a new stabling complex there, so it's a really key part of what we want to achieve. But it's just unfortunate. We want to dominate the January-February period with harness racing, but so do fires. So we're going to have to always battle through this, and we'll look at what we can learn through this and how we can better educate the industry as well. We'll invite some key people to contribute to that as well.
No, absolutely. And to the participants travelling home tonight, especially if you're heading back towards Bendigo, drive safe, keep your wits about you, just do it all properly.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks everybody for your understanding.
Thanks, mate.
You.
Thank you very much, mate.
Thanks, mate.